And she sort of gave me the chance to try new things with no pressure. I remember there was an event, like a member event one night, and she was like, I'd love you to come. You don't have to, but I think it'd be really good for you. And I think it would be good for you to witness this at this point in your career. There's no pressure, but I think the option's there. I think it would be good for you. But there was never any sort of pressure. It was more that she wanted me to have those opportunities. And she was very sort of personable as well. You knew that when you were there, you needed to, you were there to work, but it was also important to her that you enjoyed being there as well. And, I remember her saying, not this didn't apply for me, but she was also head of reception as well. And she used to give the team a shift preference list. So back then you had, I think it was like 6:15 to 2:15, 12 to 8, which everyone needed, and then a late shift. And when she was doing the rota, she'd give people a shift preference sheet. So you had some people that loved earlies, some people that hated them, but she let them actually say what they preferred. And she'd say, look, I can't guarantee this is going to be like work because people have got holidays and stuff, but I want you to tell me what it is you prefer to do. And I remember once one manager coming in and saying, I don't know why you bother with that because it just gives you more admin to do. And I remember her saying, well, how am I going to get a happy team that I can get the best out of if I'm making their working day as difficult as possible? And I thought, back then I was 19 and I was like, oh, that's nice. But now I'm 41. I look back and think, well, actually that was, yes, it did mean more work for her, but she recognised the fact that she was going to have a happier team if they weren't doing shifts that they really hated.
Hello and welcome. This week on Leading with Integrity, I'm joined by Jenny Green. We'll be talking about and tackling two big topics that we've rarely covered or rarely gone into depth on the podcast before. First of those is the experience of working parents, what schools and the education system, at least in this country, in the UK, are like today from that perspective, what employers can and should and perhaps sometimes don't do to support people. And that kind of wraps into that wider topic that we have covered a few times about bringing the whole person to work and acknowledging that nobody is checking their feelings at the door when they get to the office. And the second topic is something that's, it has its uncomfortable moments, this topic, but it's that creepy boss, the inappropriate workplace conversations, the small moments that make people feel uncomfortable, which is, I guess, a subset of the bad bosses that we do talk about quite frequently. And then after that, of course, we will spend some time talking about what good leadership looks like, what we can be doing as business owners, as leaders ourselves to support working parents, for example, to avoid becoming one of those bad bosses, and to just ensure that we are creating the environment for people to succeed, because after all, that is the point of leadership. And if we can make people happy at the same time, so much the better. So it is a bit of a tangent from some of our usual topics, but Jenny and I had a bit of fun recording this. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you will too. And if you are enjoying the show, you want to go deeper into the real human side of leadership, the messy bits, the growth moments, the I really hope nobody notices I'm just winging it kind of phase, then come and hang out with us at the Integrity Leaders online community. You will find more information about that at leadingwithintegrity.co.uk, which is in the show notes and on the screen as well. Inside the community, you will find free guides, practical tools. You can access my Heroes and Values quiz. In fact, you can do that on the website without joining if you're interested in quizzes. Who doesn't love a great quiz? But the real magic of the Integrity Leaders community is the community. It's that people-first, sci-fi flavored leadership crew, which is there for anyone who wants to be able to lead with more confidence, greater clarity, and integrity. Even if you're not sure you are a quote, real leader yet, unquote, you can still join. You can join for free in the free tier as a leadership explorer. You can connect with leaders just like you. You can get some of the support you wish you'd had on day one of your own leadership journey. And if you'd like to go a step further, if you'd like to access the leadership development courses, more detailed resources, early access to these very podcast episodes, then there are also paid tiers available. And if you've got questions, you can message me anytime. Find me on LinkedIn. Again, details in the show notes. Please do reach out wherever you are, whatever your budget, because I do genuinely love hearing your stories. I love talking about leadership, and there's no pressure, no obligation. So I hope to hear from you soon, one way or the other.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast.
Leadership talk for the modern manager.
With your host, David Hatch.
Jenny, welcome to Leading with Integrity. It's lovely to have you on the show, finally.
Yeah, thank you I was going to say thank you for inviting me, but I didn't. I invited myself.
Well, you suggested it and then I invited you. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I mean, over to you, really, to start us off. Tell us a bit about your career background, what you do today, how you ended up doing it, why you do it, all of those sort of things.
Okay. So I've been in marketing for about 20 years now. Nowadays, I specialize in writing online content and helping businesses with their paid ads, so Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads mainly, on a small budget. But yeah, I suppose my career's evolved as marketing has. When I first started out, it was all press releases and direct mail and social media. Marketing wasn't really a thing. Everyone was on Facebook to connect with people that they should have left behind at school. And, for posting holiday photos. But now that's, I specialize in social media. So it's, yes, my job's evolved as the industry has, although I'm still not really big on TikTok, I do have to say. I feel like I'm a bit too old for that.
Yeah, I probably am too, but it's also the one where I have the highest follower count, so I feel like I shouldn't ignore it. Like,
I mean, I like looking at rubbish on it.
Yeah.
But I can't say I use it a lot for work. Quite often, if people say I want to, upload, so I want a bigger following on TikTok, then you say, well, actually, you need to be posting about 3 videos a day on there so you don't sort of get lost. And they, most of the time they quickly go, oh no, I'll leave it then. I'll just stick with, a reel a day on the other platforms. There's not many people that really want to put that level of commitment in to get 3 done a day. I mean, that's a lot. If you like doing videos, then yeah, okay, that's fine. But for a lot of people, 3 videos a day is a big commitment.
It is very difficult to maintain that sort of pace, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I find as well so I do most of my stuff, I'll schedule it in advance and I'll do it on a laptop or a computer because I'm old fashioned that way. But with TikTok, it's a bit more difficult. Like, you can sort of do it on a computer, but it doesn't have the same features as it does on your phone, and they never perform as well. I don't know, maybe I'm just imagining that, but it feels like the ones I post from my phone do a lot better. And I don't know why it should make any difference. But yeah, anyway. Let's not get into that.
I'm not against TikTok, it's just not my favourite.
Yeah. So, I mean, that 20-year career in marketing, I mean, the big shift obviously would have been social media. So how do you feel about sort of the rise of AI more recently? What impact is that having?
I use it more than I used to. I used to be very much sort of, no, I'm not using that. It's, at the end of the day, my background is writing, it's copywriting, and that's, although my job's changed over the last 2 decades, the writing side of it has remained pretty consistent, and it's one of the few things I'm good at. So I don't want to use chat to take it away from me. But I do use it for sometimes ideas, or if I've had a meeting sometime, or a voice note, for example, I'll put that into chat and then get it summarized. That makes my life easier. So from an admin point of view, I use it. I also use it quite a lot to make pictures for my kids. So my son likes dinosaurs, for example. So I'll take a picture of him and then upload that into chat and say, please make a picture of this child with a Indominus Rex. And I've got like a gallery in his room of him with different dinosaurs. I quite like using it for that.
Yeah, that's
from
kind
a
of
work
nice.
point of view. I suppose it's more the admin side as opposed to the creative side, because the creative side is what I'm good at. And I want to maintain that skill. I don't want to kind of get lazy with it. So
Yeah. I think that's the right way to use it personally.
yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of the same. I don't really use it for work stuff. Like I'll use it to like summarize a transcript or something, or
Yeah, it's so good for that.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Or like help me with a first draft of something where I'm just completely stuck and I've got no ideas. And then, I'll never just leave it at what it produces. I will have to put a personal touch on it.
Well, I mean, I it might be because occupational hazard, and I can quite quick to notice these things just because of my job. But if someone puts something on LinkedIn, for example, that's been written with chat, it's so obvious, isn't it? It's got so many telltale signs, the multiple hyphens that don't really belong there. Navigate journey, let's do this, the title with 2 emojis outside. It's really, really obvious, to the point where I don't use hyphens anymore.
Same. I used to use them all the time, and now I'm like, no, I can't, because people think chat did it. Yeah.
But I do think it's quite obvious if someone has just copied and pasted it. And I've seen really big accounts as well, big businesses, family. There was one, I'm sure it was like a theme park or something, a big name, and I thought, I'm sure that's just been copied from chat because it had all the clues.
Yeah, I see that a lot on Facebook. And you're just a bit like, so if you're using it for a creative purpose, you're missing the point of creativity, in my opinion, because if you understand how ChatGPT works, all it's doing is spitting out like the average of what its training data is.
Yeah.
So there's no creativity in there. So you're going to end up, if we all start using it, we're all just going to be saying the same thing. And then what's the point?
Yeah, and it kind of surprises me that if you've got these, say, big business names and that's still what it's being used for, so surely you have somebody on your payroll that can spin out a decent social media post without having to use AI for it. Surely you have the budget to get somebody on there that can string a sentence together.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's the payroll and the budget, isn't it? It's a lot cheaper to not pay an intern to just do it on ChatGPT than it is hire someone with a decade or more of experience as a copywriter, for example.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it kind of, I mean, my little boy, he's got the free version of Chat, so he just but he only uses it for images and things. But I do think, how is this going to affect my kids as they're writing things for school on a bigger scale, essays and stuff? How do schools stop them from chucking something into AI and then passing it off as their own? I've not got to that stage yet where I need to kind of worry about it, but I do wonder. Yeah, I had to write my essays with a good old pen and A4 line paper.
Same, yeah. I mean, I remember even having to draw the lines on the paper. Like,
yeah, I remember that. I ran out of paper in my exam and I had to make me
lines. Yeah, I mean, there's a philosophical argument there, isn't there, about like the nature of original thought and whether such a thing even exists and whether we can ever really come up with a truly new idea on our own. But even then, like with AI, it's definitely not original thought. Like, you know that for a fact, because that's how it works. That's how it's designed.
Yeah, it's losing the name, isn't it? It's all artificial.
Yeah.
So I do wonder about that. But
I do feel like we're sort of losing the art a little bit. I mean, I don't know what it's like in schools now, because when I was last in a school, it was still like handwritten essays in your exam sort of thing. I had laptops in class. No danger of any technology in the classroom then.
We had
apart from the old overhead projector, if you were lucky, Yeah,
when I left, it was, you'd still have teachers writing on blackboards.
Yeah. So my last year of college, it was all very controversial and exciting in equal measure because we had a smart whiteboard.
Yes,
which was great.
In the business studies room that I was in, they were like ahead of the rest of the school because they had a whiteboard first.
Yeah, but it was a smart one. Like it was kind of like a giant tablet. So it looked white, but it wasn't shiny like a normal whiteboard.
No, we didn't have that. We just had a whiteboard and thought that was.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like. I think the physics department got it in the last 6 months I was at college. So, and it was cutting edge. And it lasted literally a day before one of the teachers forgot and drawn it with a normal whiteboard marker. But because it wasn't a normal whiteboard, it acted like a permanent pen and it was stuck there forever and it was ruined.
Have to lose friends quickly.
Yeah, right. I bet he was popular with the in the staff lounge.
Yeah, no Christmas card for them.
I shudder to think what that thing must have cost as well.
Yeah, I mean, my secondary school was a bit dodgy, so they probably thought if they did anything like that, the kids would nick it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably an irony there, isn't there? They're expecting the kids to be the one to ruin it, and it turned out to be one of the teachers. But hey.
But no, it's still blackball. I told my kids this the other day, and they were like, "What?
What's
Did
that?
you go to school in Victorian times?" I was like, "Not quite."
Yeah.
Good old days. Good old days.
Yeah, indeed. So I think we've sort of led ourselves into the first question. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today, but I think the first one is this work culture thing, particularly the impact it has on parents or people who are struggling to juggle other things and their many priorities as we have in modern life. So perhaps if you could start us off by sharing some of your experiences, your views of what work culture is in that kind of regard and what's wrong with it, I suppose.
Okay. Well, so I've got three children. They are 12, 10 and 6. So it's quite a broad range. And I work 5 days a week. School hours typically, obviously it's half term at the moment, and I have bribed them not to disturb me. But I mean, I look back to when I was a kid, and my mum worked, but my home life, and I think most of my friends' home lives as well, it was very much that their dads did full-time and mums did part-time and didn't necessarily have careers. Most of my mum and my friends' mums sort of did jobs that fit in round family life.
Yeah.
That was the priority. After school clubs weren't a thing. You know, you didn't have wraparound care. I mean, at my kids' school, there's a breakfast club and there's an after school club. I mean, my kids don't go to either of those because they don't need to, and I'm grateful for that, because they'd hate me if I dropped them off at school at 7:30 in the morning. But I know some of my friends do use them because their jobs require them to be at their desk for 8:30, and it clashes with the school. But back when I was at school, it was very much, as a rule, mums took kids to school for 10 to 9, collected them at 3:15, and they worked part-time or, evenings. And that was sort of very much the norm. Whereas I look now, and in my sort of circle of friends, most of us work full-time or not far off full-time. And I'd say, for being honest, I think that the mums still do the majority of the school stuff. Not all the time. Like, with here, I tend to take my little two to school, and my husband drops off our eldest because although she's at secondary school, it's a drive away. So that is a little bit more even here because we'd struggle otherwise. But I'd still say with my circle of friends, my female friends, the mums work more than, when I was a kid, and yet they still do most of the school stuff. So, the drop-offs, the parents' evenings, the sports days, the hideous drop-in and read sessions and stuff like that. And I sort of feel like we have to work more as a generation. Cost of living's expensive, and I think there's more of a pressure on mums to have a career than they used to be. Yeah. But I think the balance is so difficult it's that schools haven't quite caught up with the fact that parents work more than I think that they used to, and it's so difficult. I remember once when my little one started school, she there was a teddy bears picnic thing, and the parents were invited to, and it was not long after she'd started, and it was more of a come and see where your child goes to school, come and see some of their friends, and you basically bought a teddy, sat in the playground, your kid bought out a sandwich they'd made at school, which nobody wants to eat, do they? I look forward to getting tuberculosis from this jam sandwich. And I remember the letter they sent out. It was like, we'd love all parents to come because it will give your child a sense of pride. If you're not able to come, please let us know so that we can emotionally support your child on the day. And I did go, but I thought that's such a... I get what they're trying to say. I get that they're trying to, look out for the children, but I thought, God, what an emotional... it's like emotional blackmail. So just in case you didn't feel bad enough about the fact that you can't come anyway, just let us know so that we can make sure that your child's not emotionally damaged from the fact that you didn't bring a bear to school for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues in this to unpack, isn't there? I mean, I was talking to someone about this from like the societal expectations
Crazy.
angle recently, and I do feel like, I mean, schools should be like, the role of a school is to prepare the next generation, isn't it, for whatever they end up doing. I mean, it feels horrible to say prepare them for the workplace, because I feel like life should be about more than that, and school shouldn't just be focused on it. But realistically and practically speaking, that's what it's for, isn't it?
Yes.
And yet, so we think about things like 9-to-5 working culture, for example. Like in this day and age, why does that even still exist? And apart from that, it's not just that it still exists. It's like it's still seen as the norm, at least in what I understand of the world of education, anyway.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like most of the time going to see him. Although my son, he was in a violin concert last week with 60 other kids, and that was precious. My husband had a meeting on that day. I was like, but I'd prioritise that. My mum never missed any of my school stuff. That's my priority. It will always be going to watch my kids' stuff at school. But it's and to be fair, I've never been in a situation where the person that I've worked for has had an issue with me going to school things. Nobody's ever turned around to me and said, no, you can't do that. But I still think there's an element of guilt surrounding the fact that you're going, oh, can I finish early today because I want to watch my son in his guitar concert. Or, do you mind if I start a bit late today because there's a reading session at school that I really don't want to go to, but I feel morally obliged to go to? There's, in particular, and as a one-off, I don't think that there's that guilt there. But at the end of a school term, it's always crazy. Like at Christmas, for example, I had 2 school fairs, 3 concerts, and that was in 1 week.
Yeah.
And I think, nobody's ever turned around to me and gone, no, Jen, that's a problem. But you do still think, oh gosh, I've got to say again, and I'll take a bit of time out, please, because I've got to do this. And there is that guilt there that you do start to think, oh, I feel really bad asking again. But, maybe that's my issue. But I do think when you're working with people that don't have children and they're not going, oh, can I start a bit later? Oh, can I finish a bit earlier? Oh, can I just pop out and do this? You do start to think, oh, there's that feeling a bit uncomfortable that you're having to ask again.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is anecdotal. Again, somebody I was talking to recently quoted me some really interesting studies on this, and they've completely disappeared out of my memory since. I just know they vaguely exist. I can't remember what they said. So I'm going to have to look those up again afterwards. But so things like when the gender roles of this as well. So when the mother is also the primary breadwinner, again, not really happy with that phrase, but everyone knows what I mean when I say it. Like that sort of the anecdotal evidence of the school will still phone them first if there's something wrong with the kids. Even though, again, like the caregiver is the husband in that scenario, or the man. We shouldn't assume marriage and traditional values either, should we? But and it's like, why is that? Why do you default to that? Yeah. Okay, maybe it's just percentages, and the chances are that's correct. So you just don't think about it; you just do it, and that's probably understandable. But I think there's still like an underlying, why do these assumptions exist? I don't know. I find it interesting.
It is interesting, and I think, and I'd again, when I was at school, it was, you'd always call your mum first. School would always call mum first, because most of the time back then it was your mum that was around in the day. So I can't think of any of my friends that had mums that worked full time. They were very much, they worked around the kids, maybe part time in the evenings, or so
same.
Some didn't even work at all, or they just did a bit of part-time work so that they could do all the school stuff. But then I think also back then there's no way schools asked as much as what they do now. It's like World Book Day, for example, like worst day of the year. My kids' school, they like you to make the costumes. So you can't just go to Asda and buy a Harry Potter thing. They like you to make the costumes, and you have to go as a word.
Okay.
So that's nice. And then my son's like, "Oh, can I go as the Titanic?"
It's not a word, it's a ship. Sorry.
Well, actually, I did make him a Titanic costume, and we chose the word nautical.
Oh.
But then the next year, I was like, "You're reusing this again," because that took me ages. So the next year, he was maritime.
Nice. And then next year, he can be disaster.
Oh, yeah, because it didn't look in pristine condition when it came in from school. One of the chimneys was bent, and I was like, right, it's disaster next time.
Yeah, love that. Yeah.
Or tragedy.
Hubris.
Yeah. My daughter was just like, I'm just going to go as myself, and my word's going to be beautiful.
Nice. Yeah. I think if it were me, I would just go as child.
Human.
It's a word. Like, if you're going to be that vague, come as a word. Everything is a word. I can do what I want.
Yeah. I thought, I could pick a swear word I could send them us. That,
Yeah.
Yeah. But
might get you in trouble, that.
And again, you just think, why are you making this harder for people? It's what, I think the idea is that it's like, if we encourage people to make the costumes themselves, it keeps the cost down. It's like, yeah, it does, but it also means you've got to start thinking about what they can go as. And
does it keep the cost down?
Well, it doesn't, because by the time I made this Titanic costume, I could have bought 4 Harry Potter costumes from.
Yeah, exactly. Like the materials you've got to do, and your time as well. Yeah,
and the will to live.
Well, yeah, you can't put a price on that, can you? So, yeah.
No. Well, yeah, so I do think I digress, but I do think going back to the fact that, yes, my mum and my friend's mums probably worked less. There was less pressure, I think, back then to have a career. But also schools did ask a lot less as well. You didn't have these reading sessions. We just had a junior school Christmas concert and an infant school concert. Now they do it by class. So, at one point I had 3 kids in primary school. So I had like 3 harvest festivals, 3 discos all in a week.
That's weird.
Yeah. So they have, so now I've got 2 at primary school. But even at Christmas, it's like Bessie, my little one, she had her Christmas concert with her class. And then my son, he had his with his class. So it's like it doubles.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'm not sure I understand the logic of that. I
don't know if it's purely practical, because the school hall isn't very big. So get everybody in, and you physically wouldn't have the room.
I guess.
Either way, it's more stuff on the calendar.
Yeah.
But I do think there's more pressure for mums to work and be successful at it and do all the stuff. But also schools are putting more pressure on as well, because they expect more from parents. I personally think. Yeah,
again, like not being a parent myself, I don't know what I only hear from friends and siblings, like anecdotally what it's like.
They moan too.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, but certainly, like thinking back to when I was at school, I don't remember there being this many things going on.
It's great. It's a lot. It is a lot. I say I always go to these things because I want to, and I do feel very privileged that I get to go and watch these things, even if they are, I think my son's Harvest Festival lasted 8 minutes. And I was like, I'm really pleased I've just rearranged my entire working day to watch you sing about vegetables for 8 minutes. And it was the same song as last year anyway. No,
on the bright side, you got the rest of the day off, so.
True. But I think but I had rearranged everything to just watch this 8 minute. And I think one year he couldn't even be off. He just mimed.
That's what I did every time.
Well, yeah. I was looking at him. I'm kind of looking at and giving him like the stare, like,
yeah. If you're anything like me and we're always out of tune, like everyone knows immediately when you're the one miming, because if they can't hear the horrible out of tune noise, they know, right, why isn't he singing?
Yeah. So when my daughter left primary school, that was the big one, because now they do all this leavers stuff. Like when I was at school, I think you've got everyone to sign your shirt, and that was it. Now, so she had a leavers show, a leavers disco, a leavers meal, a leavers assembly.
Okay. Yeah, I think my school did. We had the sign the shirt thing. I think there was a yearbook. I never got it. I didn't care. And then there was like they didn't call it a prom, but it was basically like the Americans do the prom thing. And I didn't go to that either because, why would I want to go to something like that? It was horrific.
Yeah, but I mean, with Phoebes as well, she said, I mean, so she did this Leavers show. They did High School Musical, and there was a matinee and an evening one. So, I went to both.
Yeah.
Because, and I just think, again, is it really that necessary? Fine, have a disco, fine, but do you need to do all these things? Because, again, that's just more stuff that people are trying to fit in. I mean, I read this thing the other day. I don't know how true it is, but it was something like, parents work more than ever. There's more pressure than ever. Yet we spend more quality time with our kids as a generation than our parents did.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I wonder if that's partly because there is a bit more flexibility at work than there used to be.
Maybe.
So, like, I mean, I don't know about your parents, but I mean, mine, it was very similar setup. Like, Mum had a part-time job, I think, once we got a bit older, but certainly when we were still struggling to talk and walk in a straight line, she was at home full time.
Yeah, my mum was when I was really little,
Yeah, but Dad would be gone by like 5 a.m, and we wouldn't see him again until sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock. Part of that was because he had quite a long commute. Whereas these days, you can work pretty much the same hours without any of that travel time, so you get more time at home.
Yeah.
Or you can just work remote full time. And so it's, I don't know, maybe there is a bit of a shift there for the better.
Yeah, but I also think there's a sense of we have that pressure to, be present with our children, make all the memories and stuff like that. And I think because we're working more, there is that. I mean, my kids' screen time's gone up through the roof this week. Like, but then yesterday, I was like, after I finished work, I said, right, let's go out. There's a little village near us that has a nice little playground, and it's usually very quiet. So I said, right, let's go there, and we'll, you can get some fresh air, and we'll do some stuff together. And they were just throwing sticks into a stream, which they were more than happy with. And I thought, that's lovely. You're in the fresh air, you're doing something outside. But, would my mum have felt that guilt back then? I don't know. But I was sort of like, right, I've been working all day. Let's go and do this together. I know it's not much, but we can do it together. We can get outside. And I make a point of doing things like that. Partly so I'd feel a bit better as a parent about the fact I've been working all day. But I think it's almost that sort of tip-tap thing. I'm working more, so I'm going to make sure that I also spend this quality time with you to make up for the fact I've been ignoring you quite a lot of the day. I think that credit debit thing.
I don't know. I can't really comment on that. I'd be surprised if that's a new phenomenon, though.
Yeah.
I think maybe what might have changed is it's now more socially acceptable to set work aside and like intentionally put work second.
Yes.
I don't know. I literally just pulled that off the top of my head. It might be complete rubbish.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know. I can't ask, I lost my mum, so I can't ask her that one. And my dad was very much stay at work doing the traditional 80s dad thing. But, I do think, I look back at stuff that I do with my kids. I mean, I had a lovely childhood. My mum and dad really, did lovely things with us. But I think I do more with my kids because I think, one, there's the opportunities to do more. There's more stuff to do. But also, I do think there's a sense of you feel like you need to make sure that you do more these big experiences. I don't know.
Yeah.
Back at going, I used to go to a theme park maybe once a year, and we'd have that thing where you got like tickets instead of the wristband. You could buy a ticket, so it's like, right, you've got 5 rides today. Go mad.
Nice.
And it's just fine because I only liked about 5 rides anyway, so that's fine with me. But I do think now it's, and that was a real treat. That was we're going to Drayton Manor today and I get to go on 5 things. Whereas now, if I said to my kids, we're going to go to such and such on Friday, and they'd be like, great. They'd have a nice time, and they'd probably say thank you at some point, but it's not that. I think kids these days, they expect more somehow. It's like you do this big thing and they're like,
there is the thing, isn't there?
My kids are brats, I don't know.
No, I'm sure that's not true, but any more than all kids are. I mean, I certainly was. My mum will be listening to this and I'll get a text later saying, no, you weren't, you were a lovely child. Yeah, whatever, mum. But I think there is that phenomenon, though, isn't there, where like the more of something you have, the less you value it. And I think that perhaps is like a social problem of the modern age, isn't it? And
Maybe.
the whole instant gratification, social media again, we tie this into all of this, couldn't we, quite easily?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I do try and keep my standards fairly low, to be honest. Like, I like treating them. I like days out, and I like taking them to different cities, for example. I mean, they probably hate me for this, but I do make a point of making sure that we do visit like a new city every so often. And I just think even if they think I'm a loser now, hopefully one day they'll be like, oh, Mum and Dad took us to like Bath and Bristol and all these really cool places. I mean, one of my friends, I mean, she works in a school, so she gets the holidays off. And she texted us last night in this group chat, and she's gone to see the Harry Potter show in London. She's got one kid. They've been to the Jellycat shop in Harrods, and she spent about 200 quid on Jellycats. Yeah. And they've gone to see Harry Potter, and I was like, oh, my kids threw sticks in a stream.
Well, I know which of those I'd prefer.
So I do kind of think it's nice to do the treats, but equally, I do sometimes think, yeah, it's got to be that balance. It's like we're going out on Friday. It's half term. I don't know where we're going yet. It's probably going to rain, so can't be awful. But they're having a treat on Friday. But yesterday they did just get muddy and threw sticks in a stream, and I do sort of. I don't rely on expensive days out for entertainment. I do think there's got to be, from me. I mean, I've got 3. I can't afford to take 3 kids to see the Harry Potter show.
I don't know. It's not about spoiling necessarily, is it? But it's like creating that expectation for later in life.
Yeah.
Like if you can't just be comfortable in your own company and entertain yourself to an extent, I think that you're not going to have a nice time when the cost of living goes up every half an hour. Like,
it's like we're going to Disney next month. I mean, so yeah, I mean that's a big treat. But I basically said to them, because they said we really want to do Disney again, and I was like, look, yeah, okay, but few rules. 1, the money you get for Christmas goes towards your park ticket. My dad gave them some money, so I said that goes to your ticket. I think I let them keep like 20 quid so they could buy themselves a treat, and then the rest was going to that. 2 of their birthdays were around this time, and again I said to them, you're not having a party. The money we would have spent on a party is going towards this. And again, any birthday money you get, treat yourself to something, but then the rest goes towards that. So I'm kind of trying to show them, look, you can do these things, but there's got to be a bit of a sacrifice as well, because that's not our main holiday. And you've got to make a decision. If you're happy with that, then, some of your birthday money goes towards it.
Yeah, I mean, it's budgeting skills, isn't it? The value of money and things like that. I mean, the value of money is kind of a bit more difficult these days, isn't it? Because it changes so frequently.
Yeah.
But
I want to kind of them to realise that things come with a cost, and sometimes it's a case of choosing what you want. So, I mean, some people might think that's really harsh, but I was like, well, actually, they don't need any more presents. So if they can put half of their Christmas money towards Disneyland, I don't think that's a bad deal.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean,
I think it's fair.
Who am I to talk? But, I agree. So from like the workplace perspective, then I think our chances of having any impact on the way the school system works and education and the way teachers think, I think are pretty slim. So we're going to have to attack the problem from the other side. So what do you think leaders, managers, business owners can be doing to better support working parents, and what should they avoid doing?
I think the main one for me is accepting that parents that work, which is, I don't know what percentage, but it's going to be a really, really high percentage. I want leaders to accept that parents, it's unrealistic for parents to come into work and separate parenthood from working life. I think it was I remember my mum saying that her boss years ago, whatever had happened in the morning, she just used to kind of leave it at the door and come into the office. And if you can do that, and that's what suits you better and will serve you well through your working day, fine. Some people just do want that, right? I'm forgetting about that till later. I can't do that. And if I'm being honest, I don't think many of my friends that are working mums can do that. And I think there needs to be some empathy from a work point of view, that family life isn't their problem because the sort of the separation has become a lot sort of more blurred, I think, over recent years. Now you can work at home more, which is I think is brilliant, and I will never ever knock that. But it does mean that separation is not really there anymore. It's like, my kids are the other side of this door. I was in a networking thing yesterday, and my little one ran in. She kind of popped her head and waved, and then ran off. And that's just, I'm just working at home in half term. It's either that, or I use, my holiday. That's what kind of comes with that in half term. I've not got an office at home. I kind of just go where my kids aren't. Sometimes it's on the floor. But I think employees and managers and whatever need to kind of realise that family life comes with that person, and they're very much integrated into each other. And I think that can have positive things because, time management skills are just elite now at this level. And that flexibility does mean that you will, Sunday night, for example, I logged in and did some extra work Sunday night to prepare for the fact that I've got half term this week, and I wanted to get a few things done so that it took the pressure off a little bit. And I did that because, it's never a big deal for me to pop to do school things. So I don't mind putting a bit extra in on my side to compensate for that. But I do think that they need to kind of understand that family life comes with that individual, and it will affect them Sundays. If you've had a kid, I've had times where I've dropped my son off at school. He was going through a bad time last year, and he was really struggling with the transition into year 5, and he'd be crying most mornings. And you can't just go from dropping off a crying child at school straight into work mode 5 minutes later, and I can't anyway, and not have it carry a bit of that through the day with you. I think it's quite unrealistic for people to expect that. Obviously, if it starts to become an issue, fine. But mornings are mental, and to go from one thing straight into another is quite difficult. And I think employers need to sympathise with that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think empathy is the key word here, I think. And it's something that, personally, I think any decent, good, great, effective leader is already doing that very well. But I do still keep hearing stories about people who aren't. And I do find it, whether it's because of a childcare thing or because parents are just juggling too many things, or whether it's like a bereavement or, I don't know, a mental health crisis, any number of these things, you still hear these stories of leaders who react basically. In fact, I don't even want to call them leaders, bosses.
Yeah.
Who react basically the way you'd expect a sociopath to react to that. It's like, what do you mean you've got feelings? Work isn't the place for those. Stop that at once. How dare you? Yeah. Why should I care? That's not my role. And it's just nonsense. Like there's no empathy there. And also, like, just because you're a sociopath doesn't mean you should expect everyone who works for you to be one.
Yeah.
There's just no realism, is there? That's the thing.
No. And I do understand that when you're at work, you're a professional, and I understand there's got to be that standard there at times, but I do think sometimes, I've had it said to me before, not recently, where they've gone, right, okay, look, that's whatever's happened at home is happened at home. You're at work now. And it's like, yeah, but, if you've got the people that are the most important things to you in the world that are unhappy, it's not normal to just be like, well, I'll just deal with that. I know my kids at school probably crying right now, but that's not my problem. I'll just deal with it later. You can't. It's.
Yeah. I think, ironically, it's quite a childish response, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because
it's very emotionally
they
immature.
don't know. Yeah, they don't know how to deal with it, or they don't want to deal with it, or they just don't see why it should be their problem. So they just kind of make it your problem. So I know you've just got to, dry your eyes and forget about it or whatever.
Yeah, I remember, when my our oldest, she had open heart surgery. She's had 3 plus other bits and bobs. But when she was a baby, she had her first open heart surgery. I was on maternity leave at the time, but my husband was obviously back at work. They gave him a day's leave.
That's mad.
Yeah, he was off for 3 weeks. We were in hospital with it for 3 weeks, and he had to he either had to use his holiday or take unpaid leave. And it was a big. I understand if it's a small company, then budgets are more of an issue. But this was a big setup, a really big setup. And he was like, "Well, I can't afford to take 3 weeks off unpaid." Particularly, he said, being as I was on maternity leave is nothing. So he had ended up using. I think in the end he used sort of like a week. He got his day, and then he used like a week's unpaid leave and then 2 weeks of his annual leave. So he used nearly half of his annual leave because his baby was having open heart surgery. And you just think, like, where's the empathy in that? Surely, though, so it was a big setup, and even if they'd have just paid him half, I don't know, but I things like that really rattle me when I just think, come on, this is probably one of the worst times in their life, and you're adding
absolutely
pressure onto it from a different angle. There was no, and then they got back at work and they were like, right, so tell us how you're going to, get back up to speed. And it's like, my kid's just,
that's
died.
wildly insensitive, isn't it? And I just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how long ago that was, but I feel like employment law these days is a bit better for that sort of thing. There's that shared parental leave, isn't there? And
yeah, it's changing, isn't it? As
is
well.
it? Oh, I've lost track.
There is something taking effect from April. Can't remember what it is now.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I can't help thinking, like, if I was in the leadership position at that point, you've got to, I mean, first of all, it's just the right thing to do. If someone's going through something that horrible, and if they've worked for you for a while as well, and you've got that relationship, if you want to maintain that relationship, you do whatever you can so they feel supported and not like you're just standing over their shoulder, tutting at them for not being at work.
Yeah.
When they've quite rightly got way more important things to be worrying about. I don't understand that mindset, and I never have, not really.
No, it's it's bizarre that people, I know, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not a manager, so if that was my team member, when they came back to work, one of the first things I'd do is talk to them and say, right, you've been through something awful. What can I do to make your transition to work better?
Yeah.
What can I do to help you get back into it without feeling pressurized? But it was a case of, right, back onto it. Your performance has dropped this month, and they really put the pressure on, and you just think, gosh, again, it's that transition from parent at a hospital. I mean, I think she came out on the Saturday. I think he was back at work on the Monday because he couldn't afford to take any more time off. And it's like, you've not slept for 3 weeks.
It's horrible. That
we came out looking. She looked great. She'd gone from being blue to pink, and we look like we'd been buried a week ago.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. I think not expecting such a big separation between work and home, so particularly because people do work at home a little bit more. Kids are around sometimes. It's like the summer holidays, 6 weeks. Who can take 6 weeks off unless you work in a school? There is people can't always afford to put their kids into holiday clubs. We've not got any support with the kids as far as childcare goes. It's all on us. So there is my friend, for example. She works from home most of the time. And it's her rule at work that she can't look after the kids while she's working at home, unless it's like maybe they're off school sick or something like that, or it's a one-off. She can't have her kids at home while she's working at home.
How do they even enforce that? That's rubbish.
Yeah. I mean, I think she has bent the rules slightly sometimes because of practical reasons. And now her kids are a bit older. They do need less. But you just think...
It's just life, isn't it? Like,
how unrealistic is that? So...
Yeah, that's mad. That's like saying, like, if you don't have kids and you live with your partner, like, if you're working from home, you're not allowed to have a conversation with your partner.
It's all right.
I mean, that's stupid. Like, nobody's gonna. I mean, that's not how lives work, is it?
No.
I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous example, I have to say.
Yeah, and I just thought, like, it's.
Yeah.
Well, what about the holidays? Say she's the school holidays. She's got 2 kids. She has some support from her in-laws, but not for 6 weeks.
Yeah. I think it says a lot as well about, like, the relationships that those managers have with their own families.
Yeah.
They're probably the sort of people who can't talk to me now, I'm working. Yeah, I bet you're great fun at parties, aren't you? Like, so follow-up question. I'm curious.
Okay.
Did your husband stay working for that same company for very long after that?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, he wasn't overly happy there anyway. And my daughter, before she was admitted to hospital for her surgery, she was in and out of hospital quite a lot with all to do with her heart.
Uh-huh.
And they weren't great when he had to, ring up and say, look, I'm at A&E. I can't, come in today.
Oh.
And they weren't overly supportive with that. And then when it was the 3-week holiday, it was quite an unexpected. She went in to hospital for I think it was a CT scan, and she was there for 3 weeks because they wouldn't let her go home because she needed surgery quicker than what they thought. So it wasn't a planned thing. And yeah, after that he just thought, well, her heart problem is not going to go away. She's fixed, but she will always have it. And it sort of set the precedent for future stuff. You just think, well, he started looking for something else, but just on the basis that he thought, I can't.
Yeah, and I think that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, apart from being the right thing to do, and about like how just normal humans behave. Ultimately, like if you value the work that these people are doing for you, you're being very short-sighted if you're just like, oh, I don't care what happens outside of work. I expect you here at 9 on the dot or whatever.
Yeah, that was a company as well that was very, very set on targets. You needed. He was an MVQ assessor at the time, and it was a case of you've got to visit this many people this week, regardless of where they are geographically. That's what you've got to do, and it was very black and white. So yeah, you didn't work there for much longer.
It's another common theme there, isn't there? The education world.
Yeah.
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 I'm sure it's a coincidence.
He's still in the sort of training profession, but not in that capacity. And he said he wouldn't want to be either.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, it ended up in the right place in the end, hopefully. So
yeah, I took a bit again there, but yeah. Now it is the fact that yesterday he was in a meeting and somebody said, do you need to go and get the kids from school? And he was like, well, clearly you've not got kids because it's half term, but I appreciate the fact that you asked.
Yeah.
It was nice that they made a point of asking if he was okay to do something because it was around 3:00 and sometimes he does the school run. So things like that mean a lot, I think.
Yeah, and it is those small things, isn't it? But you just got to have that like awareness and willingness to ask the right questions, I guess.
And for me, that is, as far as sort of leaders go, that is one of the biggest things for me is treating people on a personal level. Are you okay from a work capacity, but also from a personal capacity, and recognizing that sometimes people just need a bit of looking after.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to talk these types of managers and bosses down. I think the vast majority of them, I don't think they behave like this because they don't care. I think they're just, maybe some of them are worried about like intruding in people's lives or like it's none of their business. Maybe some of them are just stressed out themselves. They got their own thing going on. They just don't have the capacity to think about it. Maybe some of them just think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it is the way it comes off to the people you're leading when you behave like that. I think not enough leaders are thinking about that. I don't know. It's a weird one. I think so much of it is just like, well, this is the way it's always been done. So this is the way I think it has to be done in the future.
Yeah, I remember once working for somebody, probably the worst boss I've ever worked for, and he couldn't remember the name of my son. And I worked for him for 6 months. And that just really pissed me off because I just thought, do you know what? We're a very small team here. And the fact that you don't know my kid's name, to me, is just a massive red flag that you really could not give about me, my personal life, just me as because they come with me, and I wasn't asking to babysit, but if I didn't know their names, I just thought What an absolute loser.
Yeah, I mean, some people are naturally bad with names and faces, I will say.
I don't think
However,
I think he was just a...
Yeah, however, something like that, when it's important enough, like if it's important to you, you make that extra effort to make sure you remember it.
Yeah, I just think it's a good... You say, we didn't have a big team, and I think only 2 of us had kids in the whole team. So it was not like he had to remember... It wasn't like The Sound of Music where we'd got like, all these kids parading in. I just thought, for me, that's just good manners.
Yeah, it's just basic social interaction, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just good people skills.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me of a boss I had once where somebody had said to him that you need to show that you care about people. So he went on this gig for about 6 months, I think, where he would go around and he'd talk to everyone every day. I say every day. Every day he was in the office, which wasn't every day. He would make sure he'd go and sit with each person in the office. And this lasted until the team got too big that he couldn't be bothered to do it anymore. But he would always ask the same question, and he'd never have any recollection of what the answer was last time he asked that same question to that same person. And you're just like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. You're showing willing.
Yeah.
You're showing willing. It's a step in the right direction. But like, if you can't remember it, just take a few notes. Yeah, oh man, it got a bit awkward. It became a bit of an in-joke after a while. And I suspect that's another reason he stopped. I think it probably got back to him. But we were all taking the out of him.
It's funny. At least the intention was there for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what the intention was, really. It's hard to divine that, isn't it? Cynically, knowing other things that I learned about him later, I think it was more about the way people were perceiving him rather than the way he actually wanted to be. But anyway.
Oh.
Mustn't mention names, although anyone who worked for him knows exactly who I'm talking about. So we might have preempted the next question there, actually, which is the story of the worst boss you've ever had. Or was that another one?
No, it's the same boss.
Okay. So again, no names. We don't want to name and shame anyone. I mean, we do, but we're not going to.
No. So it all comes back to when my boss at the time, the one who didn't know my children's names, entered us into a 10K for work. It's fine. It was to raise money for a charity that we did some marketing for. And so he kind of entered us without asking, which I thought was a bit much. Because I can do 10K, but it's quite it's a big run, isn't it? It's not like a 2-mile park run. It's a decent distance. Anyway, so we did that. And then he was like putting the pressure on, you need to make sure you get sponsor money. And I'm like, mate, I didn't even ask you to enter me for it. Like, pipe down. Did that. And then I remember getting there and he was like, do you need some help pinning your number on you? Like, on the front. And I was like, and he started to kind of do this. And I was like, no, I'd rather stab myself with a pin than have you help me. Thanks. Like, go away. So I was like, no, I'm good. And then I asked somebody else to do it because I thought, no way, you don't near me. And then I remember we were still at the starting line. This was like a Sunday morning. And I just remember thinking, like, what on earth am I doing running with this complete knob? And he stood behind me and went, I've got a really good running tip for you. I was like, go on then. And he went, best thing to do, he said, is find a nice arse you like and follow it. And I've never ran off faster in my life.
Oh, man. I don't know. I wouldn't have wanted him behind me. That's for sure.
Well, exactly. He was behind me when he said it. And I sort of
no.
Yeah, I just went, ran off. I know they always say you shouldn't start fast because you get tired, but that rule didn't apply then. I wanted to me and my arms away from him as quickly as humanly possible. I just thought, what kind of first of all, it's just a crappy thing for anybody to say to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, somebody that works for you. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain sense of entitlement behind that, I suspect.
He was the kind of boss you didn't want to be left alone with.
Yeah. I mean, there's several red flags in quite a short story there.
and a lot of us left around the same time.
Yeah.
It was like walk out.
You do hear stories about the marketing industry in particular.
It's
not
dodgy.
to excuse behaviour, but there's the whole Mad Men phenomenon in as well, isn't there?
Just for the record, in case my boss is listening, you're like, he's okay. But yeah, this guy as well, he was just yeah, I can't even say dirty old man because he wasn't that much older than me, but just sleazy, and he was like, as well, not that this sort of gives any reason why he shouldn't be. He was married with kids as well. It's not even like he was, you just think, and he had girls as well, like teenage girls, and you just think, like, not that it's okay for anybody to say that, but as a dad of girls, does he not?
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? Like this. Firstly, it's depressing how common some of these stories are.
Yeah.
But you do sort of wonder, like, whether this is a mental illness.
Crazy.
Or whether it is just like a social construct again, and there's all this stuff, isn't there, like toxic masculinity, and I don't know. It is odd. So I spent quite a long time in the aerospace industry. Doesn't have as bad a reputation as the marketing sector does for that sort of thing, but at the same time, it is predominantly men in that industry, or at least it was back then. Don't know what it's like now. And I don't know. I remember a few times thinking a bit uncomfortable about certain conversations that were happening when we were thinking about hiring a woman for a role, for example, and people who otherwise I had an immense amount of respect for, like, their work's amazing, they were great for me in my career, really, really good mentors and things like this. And they would say things very, very occasionally. There was a couple who were quite similar to the one you've described. But even like the reasonable ones, in inverted commas, would still on occasion say things that you'd just be like, you wouldn't say that in any other context. Why are you saying it now? You must see that's inappropriate for the workplace.
Yeah.
But they just want to join in with the boys or whatever. I hated that. Hated it.
Yeah, it's one of them as well where he was he never owned anything himself. Everything was always everybody else's fault. Everybody. And I remember once he made this comment, he was like, oh, he only hire good looking people. And you kind of think, for anybody else, you'd joke, you'd laugh it off. But he was the kind of person that could make even the simplest comment sound a bit sleazy because it was just part of who he was. I remember, I don't know if you've seen that episode of Friends where Joey's eating like a sandwich or something and he says something and Rachel was like, how do you make that sound dirty? And then he was a bit like that. Whatever he said, it just came out with a bit of a sleazy undertone because that was just personality as a whole. The stuff turnover there is crazy, but it was always one of them where it was everybody else that was rubbish, never him.
Yeah. It's funny that, isn't it? I think it's the only way they can cope.
It was everybody else was rubbish at their job, let him down, and didn't know what they were doing, but it's like centre of it all, and it's all going wrong, but obviously it's everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lack of self-awareness, isn't it? And
big time,
self-reflection, and all these things that make good leaders. And it's I don't know, is it a coincidence, do you think, that these kind of behaviours tend to go together in the same individuals? Could it be perhaps that self-aware, empathetic leaders, particularly male ones, don't tend to treat women that way? Is that a coincidence? I don't think it is, if I'm honest.
No, I don't think it is. No, I don't think it is either. But I'm well rid of there anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And good to hear your current manager is much, much better and not at all like that as well. We should just underline that again in case they're listening. Yeah.
Well, I like that bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll make a social clip out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Could be my, I'll pin that bit on my feed.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of questions now about like leadership lessons. I would hope that the lessons from that story are pretty obvious, but if you had to pick like the biggest lesson from that for other leaders, people in the audience, what would it be?
For me, I just think you need to be a good leader, and empathy is a really big one for me. I think the mental load of parents is massive these days. I think it's bigger than it used to be, and you have more parents in the workplace. And I think in order to sort of get the best out of your team, you need to have that empathy with them and understanding and of them as a person, not just an employee. And that might mean different things to different people. Obviously, it annoyed me that my boss didn't know my kids' names. And I think part of that is recognising the people that work for you and knowing what they value and treating them as an individual, not just a team, because that might not have mattered to somebody else. It mattered to me. So I think there's a sense of reading the room and taking each person on their own merit and accepting that, there's a lot going on outside of the working hours. And yes, of course, people are there to do a job. Of course they are. But you need to accept that they come with other things. I think this mental load is enormous, and it's sometimes very difficult separating everything that's going on. And I think most people do want to come and do a good job. I don't want to come into work and think, I've done a rubbish job today because my head's been on something else. Most people want to do a good job. I know I do. So I think one of the main things is that leaders do need to have that empathy and understand that the separating isn't realistic, and that sometimes people need to be taken on an individual basis, because that's the only way you're going to get the best out of them, I think.
100% with you there. The way I think about leadership, if I had to condense it into a sentence, it's about creating the environment or the conditions for others to succeed.
Yeah.
And if you're going to, again, we could get into how you define success. Again, for me, that is a long-term thing. It's not get that report done by tomorrow. That's not success. That's a very small step along the way to the eventual success. But if you want to do that over the long term, that does mean you've got to be a bit flexible to these things. You've got to recognize that if you want people to succeed, then you can't be hammering them for being 10 minutes late because one of their kids is sick, for example.
Yeah.
You just got to be okay, life happens, not a problem.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. It's honestly not a problem. Especially if it's just 10 minutes. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill either.
Yeah. I remember one of my friends saying, one of the kids is off school again. I've got to tell work and I'm dreading it. And I just thought shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be dreading ringing at work because one of your kids is unwell and needs you. And I think, we do some content for a recruitment company, and we had a chat with them recently about success is different for different people. For some people, it's career progression. For other people, it's having that flexibility and being able to work from home sometimes. It might not be that they're actually wanting a promotion, but for them, success is being able to go to school things without feeling bad about it, or having the option to work from home on a Friday because they need to do a school pick up. I think success is a personal thing.
Yeah, it is. And I think, the same is true of family as well. I think, again, there's a few leaders over the years that I've encountered where family had a very different meaning to them, to the point that they'd actively avoid it and therefore wouldn't understand it when others had a family first kind of mindset. And so they found it quite difficult to display that flexibility because they just didn't understand it. It's in their mind, family was a bad thing to be avoided. Why would you want time off work for it? But there's that, again, goes back to what you were saying. It's seeing people as the individual, understanding their specific context. Just because something is true for you as the leader doesn't mean it's true for the team or any individual within that team either, if it comes to that. So, and again, I always go back to, you're never going to know that difference or that context if you don't ask the questions.
Yeah.
And again, so many leaders fall down at that. They don't ask. They don't say, what's important to you? What do you need?
Yeah.
What can I do to help you succeed? All of these they sound quite vague questions, but they start conversations that lead you to these answers that you need.
And I think they mean a lot. I think a lot of the time people are just on autopilot trying to get things done, trying to get kids to school, get some stuff sorted, life admin, and they're just almost robotic and going through the motions. Yeah. And when somebody actually sits down and says, "Are you okay?" It means quite a lot that someone's taken the time to actually ask that.
Yeah. Although depressingly, one of the reasons why it means so much is because it's so rare that somebody asks it.
Yeah. No, most of the time we'll go, "Yeah, I'm fine," even if you're not, but it's still nice to be asked.
Yeah. Well, there's that whole British thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, but I think it means a lot when you are asked it.
Yeah, it does. I think if it's done in the right way and you've got enough of a relationship to know it's a genuine question and not like that other one I was talking about earlier. But yeah. Okay, so this question might be a bit more difficult for you. I don't know. We'll see. We've done your worst boss. Tell us the story of your best one. Like, what's your best memory of being led?
So when I first started work, I was 19. Yeah, 19. And I went to work part-time at David Lloyd, the gym, in the membership office. And I hadn't really got any experiences of leaders back then. And I think probably it's only now I look back and I do appreciate how good my manager was at the time. And a few reasons, really. I mean, first of all, she was very, very empathetic. I mean, she was quite emotional herself, which maybe did help a bit because, you know, I remember sort of she sort of showed a vulnerable side sometimes. She'd not long had a baby and she was getting back into work and she wasn't kind of afraid to show that it's difficult sometimes to separate that work personal life thing. But she was good because I remember saying to me, I want you to get the most out of working here. Because, you know, you did get different benefits there. But I remember her saying, I want you to get the most out of this. I want you to, you know, enjoy working here, but I also want this to work for you as well. And that was quite a rare thing, I think. You know, she took the time to say, this, you can have this if you work here, you can go to this. And she sort of gave me the chance to try new things with no pressure. I remember there was an event, like a member event one night. And she was like, I'd love you to come. You don't have to, but I think it'd be really good for you. And I think it would be good for you to witness this at this point in your career. There's no pressure, but I think the option's there. I think it would be good for you. But there was never any sort of pressure. It was more that she wanted me to have those opportunities. And she was very sort of personable as well. You knew that when you were there, you needed to, you know, you were there to work, but it was also important to her that you enjoyed being there as well. And, you know, I remember her saying, this didn't apply for me, but she was also head of reception as well. And she used to give the team a shift preference list. So back then you had, I think it was like 6:15 to 2:15, 12 to 8, which everyone needed, and then a late shift. And when she was doing the rota, she'd give people a shift preference sheet. So you had some people that loved earlies, some people that hated them, but she let them actually say what they preferred. And she'd say, look, I can't guarantee this is going to be like work because people have got holidays and stuff, but I want you to tell me what it is you prefer to do. And I remember once one manager coming in and saying, I don't know why you bother with that because it just gives you more admin to do. And I remember her saying, well, how am I going to get a happy team that I can get the best out of if I'm making their working day as difficult as possible? And I thought, you know, back then I was 19 and I was like, oh, that's nice. But now I'm 41. I look back and think, well, actually, that was, yes, it did mean more work for her, but she recognised the fact that she was going to have a happier team if they weren't doing shifts that they really hated all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely ahead of its time, isn't it? I mean, we talk quite a lot these days about understanding your working patterns and I don't know what the word is, but like people have natural rhythms, don't they? And so like for me, if I'm doing detailed work, if I don't do it before lunch, it ain't getting done.
Yeah.
And I've only sort of in the last few years come to really understand that. And then I guess working for myself gives me the control to be able to actually leverage that and do the best of it. But I never heard that before in past career. Nobody ever even thought about that. I'd certainly never had a manager ask me that question.
That was
amazing.
20 years ago as well. Over 20 years. No, 22. Oh my God, 22 years ago. And
let's not think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, God. I mean, a lot of the time, the people that worked on reception, they were mainly part-time. I think there was maybe one full-timer, but you did have a lot of parents on there. You had people that were working there because it fitted in with uni. So it was a very big team as well. You had, you know, obviously it's open every day and it was open from like till 11 o'clock at night. So there was a broad range of working hours, but she sort of went out of her way to say, look, what days, or, or is there any days that you can't do, so that you've not got to use your holiday all the time? If you're working 3 days a week, tell me if there's any that you can't do, because I don't really want you to have to use a day's holiday if you can work a different day. And that was just really nice.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that feels like it should just be common sense.
Yeah.
And yet it's surprisingly rare, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I know people really did appreciate the fact that she took that time out. I mean, she did say, look, at the end of the day, everybody has got to do their part. You can't just choose earlies all the time, because that's not very fair, because they have got to be evenly split. But equally, if it's a case of you really hate lates, I won't put you on all lates. It was just, like you say, it was just common sense, and people always appreciated the fact that she thought about them as an individual rather than just doing a rota.
Yeah, absolutely.
We became really good friends, and I was actually her bridesmaid when she got married. So.
Oh, that's nice. That's a pretty good reference in itself as well.
Yeah, so that was, yeah. And she did a speech at our wedding, so it was, but we wouldn't have become friends had she been an arsehole.
No, well, I'd hope not. Yeah.
But no, so I mean, for me, that was, and that's maybe with hindsight, I appreciate that more than I did at the time, because I was young and had no comparison. But having worked for different people since, you do think, wow, Jane was a legend.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like the rose-tinted glasses of hindsight, but I hear this a lot, and it's true for me as well. Like the first boss I ever encountered when I went into work, it's probably also the best one I've ever had. Yeah. But I didn't necessarily realise it at the time, because I didn't.
Yeah, you're young, you've got nothing to compare them to.
But little things like, even as a temp, he was asking me what my personal development plan looked like and how he could support it and what my career aspirations were and all this sort of stuff. And I'd never heard that before, obviously, because it was my first job. And I don't think I've heard it again since. The only time I ever had a personal development conversation about my training was when I initiated it for the rest of my career. And I think that's sort of depressing. So I don't know if it's just because of that contrast. He now seems like he's a lot better than he really was, and it was just kind of selective memory. Or if I was spoiled really early on.
But it's selective, isn't it? Because it was good.
Well, yeah. It's definitely a contrast.
Yeah. The fact it was so good sticks in your mind.
Yeah.
But no, I think a lot of people that I've worked for since would have been good to have taken a leaf out of her, but she was and so that wasn't even towards me, because I didn't really have shifts with what I was doing. But I saw, I witnessed it, and I would just remember her saying, how are you going to get people that work for you that are happy? And, how are you going to get the best out of them if you don't ask things like that?
Yeah, and I think it's that leading by example as well, isn't it? And it was clearly memorable, which says a lot about like the average workplace too.
22 years ago, I still remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a cool story. Okay, I've only got 2 questions left, and I think they're both quite difficult.
Go on.
But they're also both a little bit silly. So the first silly one is the time travel question. So if you could travel back in time, how far in your own lifetime would you go, and what would you say to your younger self?
So I think I would probably travel back to my early teens. I think, because I was a bit of a high flyer at school. I was A student, which was nice. But I think with that came loads and loads and loads and loads of pressure. I think a bit of it is eldest daughter syndrome. I'm a firm believer that the eldest, and again, me and my friends, we're all the eldest and we're all the same. You feel the pressure as the eldest to just crack on and get things done because you are my sister definitely didn't have such expectation, not because she's stupid, but because she's 8 years younger than me, and it's just the youngest, I think, gets away with more. But I remember just feeling so pressured at school, it was always, every parent's evening was, yes, it was lovely to have all these really, really positive remarks, but I also felt with that came a lot of responsibility and sort of fear of failing and not living up to people's expectations. And I think that's really stayed with me as I've become an adult, constant worrying that I'm going to fail, taking any errors that I make really personally. And I'd love to go back to her and say, do you know what, right? This GCSE is useless. And yes, okay, you're going to do well in it, but you'll never use it ever, ever again. And it's not the end of the world if you don't live up to everyone's expectations. It's their problem, not yours. Yeah.
I love that. I really do. It sort of, rings bells for me as well. Same. I don't know that I ever connected it to being the oldest child, though. But that pressure at school was definitely a thing.
Not from the teachers. I mean, not saying my mum and dad put.
Oh no, for me it was from the teachers.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
No, I mean, not the oldest. Yeah, I mean, not the oldest thing. From an academic point of view, yes, there was that sort of pressure on the fact that you always do so well, and the world's your oyster, and And my mum and dad were always like, just try your best. And sometimes I think I don't want to try my best because it's really hard.
Because then I have to do the next thing, and I don't want to do the next thing.
I want to have a day where I'm just really average. But I do think, there was a lot of pressure in it to live up to those expectations and continue getting those grades, because they were like, oh, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And it was like, well, I might not want to do this and that. And there has been a lot of time where I felt sort of pressure to conform to what everybody else expected. And I'd love to go back to her and say, don't give a shit. You're not going to use that. Just
100%. Yeah. I think for me it was just the relentlessness of it. There was so from what was it, like year 9, I think, when you had the SATs, and then the next year after that you have the mock exams to prep for your next year after that for the GCSEs, and then the next year after that the AS levels, and then the next year after that first year to do AS levels as well, so nobody knew what they meant or how they worked. So that was even worse. Mm-hmm. And then the A levels, and it was just, and then onto a degree as well, because if you didn't do that, then you never get a good job, and all that pressure on top of it.
When they're saying to me, it was like, you degree or Tesco's. There was
literally,
that was how they sold it.
Yeah,
it was like, you need to go to uni, get a degree, otherwise, or you'll just do your A levels and then go and stack shelves, and that was it.
Yeah. And also that quite horrible thing, like undertone there of if you stack shelves in Tesco, you're worth less somehow. Yeah. I mean, that's a horrible thing for a teacher to say. I mean, there were kids there who were at least as smart as I was, who just didn't fancy getting on that merry-go-round. So they did go and work in Tesco's, and there's nothing wrong with that. Why shouldn't they?
Next. Yeah, and they needed to earn some money. And
they were earning money a lot quicker than the rest of us.
Quicker than what we were. They were the ones that when you were going out on a Friday night, you were like...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm student poor.
Or they just didn't invite you because
they could afford to go to
I don't want to be paying for all your drinks all night.
But I think that was how it was sold to us, and anything less than that, you were just like...
100%. And I think the other bit of it that always bugged me was that the pressure to decide right then what your career was going to be and how the next 20 years of your life were going to go as a result of that. It's like...
Yeah, like with your options and stuff.
I'm like, I'm 16. I don't know what I'm going to do in 2 years' time, let alone in 20. Like, how can I make this decision now? Could you just leave me alone, please?
I remember getting really, really upset and stressed out about my options, not knowing which to pick. And I remember I think it might have been my mum saying, just pick what you enjoy. Like, forget about whether you're going to use it further down. I remember the teachers going, pick business and economics. And I did in the end, but pick business and economics. Economics, I don't even know what it is anymore. Because it will serve you well. And then I remember my mum saying, fine, if you do that, but the other one, just pick something that you enjoy, pick something that you just go to the lesson and look forward to, because you'll have so many subjects that you have to do that you don't want to do, perhaps, that pick something that's going to just give you a bit of joy. So I chose art.
Fair enough. No, I was sort of the same. I very much picked the things that were interesting to me. So I didn't take a language, which was a bit controversial. I don't know how I got away with it, because I thought I had to, and then I somehow got away with not. So I ended up doing history because I loved history at the time, and geography. instead of a language. I still don't really know how I blagged that, to be honest, but I'm glad I did.
I mean, I didn't want to learn Spanish, but I'd rather not. I tell you, I didn't help myself though, because I loved geography and history, and I was very good at both. But we were only allowed to choose one humanities, which annoyed me. So I did my history GCSE as an extra one in my lunchtime.
Ouch.
But I did it because this teacher was like, I don't think you should do that because I think you're going to be stretching yourself too thin. So then I thought, right, I'm going to do it now just to spite you. And I did it, and I got an A in my history, and I wrote him a letter afterwards telling him.
I wish someone had that kind of conversation with me, actually, because I had the opposite one. When I went from GCSE to AS levels, picking what I was going to do. And they were like, well, with these grades, you could easily manage 5 AS levels. And so my first year at college, I was doing like
5?
Some ridiculous, like 63 hours a week or something.
Did you take 4 and then drop 1? Was that?
Yeah, that was the idea, except I dropped 2 because I failed 2 because it was too much work and too much pressure. I just didn't handle it. And actually, that probably did me a favour in the long run. But at the time, it was awful.
Yeah, that's hard going.
Yeah, and I picked subjects that I shouldn't have picked as well, like maths, which I've always hated. And I mean, you talk about you never use it again. I mean, that's the classic, isn't it? Yeah, and memorising your times tables. Why? It's on my phone. It's on my wrist. It's on every device within arm's reach. I'd rather save other things in that memory bank before it fails. Thanks.
Anytime I use it, if I'm working out how much discount something is in a shop. 20% off. I'm like, ooh.
I don't do that. I don't like putting that much thought into it.
No, it's just so I can justify it to my husband later and go, well, I saved this much. That's it. But yeah, I think the pressure back then was, I don't know what it's like now. And I always kind of stress to my kids that as far as their academic performance goes, as long as, of course, it's nice that they do well, but I'm more bothered about, when I go to parents' evening, I'm more bothered about, are they kind? Are they polite? Are they nice to all the children in class? Yeah. That means more to me than
100%.
being really good at maths, but being the kind of kid that everyone hates because they're mean.
Definitely. I think just, like, if I was to do that again, it would be just pick what you enjoy doing, what you find interesting.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you end up being better than that at that anyway, because it's interesting to you. And then also it will set you up for a career, potentially doing something that you enjoy and that you're interested in. So we don't get stuck on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about our school woes.
Our school traumas.
Yeah. So final question, favourite question, leadership heroes.
Leadership heroes.
If you had to pick one person, but it can be literally anyone you could think of, so they could be alive or dead, past or present, real or fictitious, but it's got to be somebody that, in your opinion, would perfectly embody leadership. So who's that going to be for you and why?
One. Okay, yes, I had 4 shortlisted, so I've been thinking about this. I've made my mind up, I think.
You can tell us your shortlist and then we'll...
All right, I'll tell you my shortlist and then I'll pick one. So, okay, so I had Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay, nice.
Mufasa from The Lion King. He's just solid, isn't he? Solid till he dies. He's, good leader, good dad. Elizabeth I, badass queen, fought the Armada, broke the rules. And so they call her Bess for short. My little one's Bessie, so I call her Bessie Queen. So now whenever she sees her on telly, she's like, oh, it's me.
Nice.
And this is the one I'm picking, I think. Jim Lovell.
The astronaut.
Yes.
Nice.
So he was the Apollo 13 commander. And I'm basing this on the film Apollo 13, but obviously it is based on transcripts from the actual mission. So
yes.
I always liked Jim as a leader, because I remember there's this one bit where, back then, obviously, when it all went terribly wrong, they weren't relying on computers. They were having to work the maths out with like a ruler, weren't they? It was all done mentally. And I remember him saying, just work the problem, work with this problem. We're dealing with this problem and you're trying to work out problem 587. Just focus on what you've got, what you're doing now. And he obviously helped manage that team of people that were two other blokes that were sort of screwed, and got them back. I mean, it was with the help of Mission Control, obviously, but in that situation, he was trying to get the best out of his team by, looking after them, trying to get the best out of them, helping them think, focusing on something, not spiraling. So I'm going to go with Team Jim.
It's a brilliant choice. I mean, anything space related is always going to win.
Well, I did think about that. Honestly. I mean, I think it's a brilliant. I mean, I think as far as a film goes, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I think I remember watching this documentary on it once. It might have been like back in the day where you got the DVD and you got the features at the end. And Ron Howard, that director, said that when he previewed it, somebody was like, "Oh, that's so rubbish. It's so far-fetched." And he was like, "Yeah, it's a true story." And it's one of those, I think, with history. I mean, I love history. It's like my biggest passion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because sometimes events happen and you think you couldn't have written that better. That it's some of the, the stories that we look back on. You just think that if you read that as a book, you just couldn't have written it better. And I think Apollo 13 is one of those.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Apollo program kind of fits into it, doesn't it? It's no surprise that there are so many people who think the whole thing was a conspiracy and it was faked, because it is that far-fetched that it easily could be either.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can't see it behind the camera, I have the Lego Saturn V on the shelf.
Oh, do you?
So, and obviously the ISS behind me as well. Yeah. I mean, Jim Lovell's great though. I think there's so many parts of his story where he just displays that real, what I see as true leadership. Like, he's got that humility as well that's really important.
Yes.
His ability to just stay calm in a crisis as well obviously comes through.
And that's a big crisis, isn't it? That's not sort of
probably the biggest one.
Spelling error on a social media post. That's
yeah,
we're stuck
absolutely.
in space and have no electricity.
Yeah, and if we don't figure it out, we're going to die. And then what he did when he came back as well, like the way he kept the promise that he made to his wife and all of that sort of thing. Really interesting life as well. So, it was quite sad because he died recently, didn't he? It was only last
he did.
year?
Yeah. He was quite. I mean, he was quite old. He was old, wasn't he? And he was only quite recent that he died.
I think he made it into his 90s, didn't he? Or his late 80s.
Yeah. He because Tom Hanks was obviously he played Jim Lovell. He was quite good friends with him, wasn't he? He sort of got to know him quite well and sort of still saw him into his old age. But I just think the sort of, I don't know, the characteristics he displayed, you just think, there's that sense of there's inspiration behind him as well as being, having that empathy, being a sort of strong character and trying to get the best out of people, even in that, well, more importantly than ever, in that situation that I'd have been like, oh my God, we're all going to die. Like, probably the worst or whatever. I don't like heights. I'm rubbish. But, in that situation, he's like, right, let's work the problem. Let's focus on this. And I think that's
100%. Yeah. And I think the other great trait that he shows is the adaptability as well. Because obviously he was expecting to go and land on the moon and be one of the very few people who got to walk on the moon, and then suddenly that's snatched away. I think a lot of people in that position, given all the time, the training, like the kind of the prestige of it, I suppose, the expectation, in your head, you're going to be going to the moon, and now suddenly it's gone. I think a lot of people in that situation would have been less about let's find a way to get home safe and more about let's find a way to complete our mission. Let's get to the
land
moon.
on the moon. Because I think at that point he was the guy that had spent more time in space than anybody else, hadn't he? It was I think it was his fourth mission. So to him,
because he'd been round the moon, hadn't he?
Yes.
But he'd not landed before. Yeah.
So I mean that was a big disappointment to him. But I remember they call it the successful failure or something like that, didn't they? The mission because they got home and didn't die, but the mission didn't achieve what it wanted to. But so. Yeah. They're all good, but I'll go with Jim.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent choice. And bonus points because no one's chosen him before, I don't think.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
Excellent,
Yeah, so there is a couple of recommendations for you. There is a Netflix series documentary where they do it's not really a recreation, but it's like a documentary where they will play the full transcripts over the course of the hour.
Oh, wow.
Along with all the stock footage and everything and so that's worth a watch.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called. Obviously, it has Apollo 13 in the name. so you'll probably find it quite easily.
Yeah, do a search.
And then there's also a series that Tom Hanks did. I think it was either after the film or it was after he'd done Band of Brothers, one or the other. I think he was involved in Band of Brothers. Anyway, yeah. He produced a series about the Apollo program, which is called From the Earth to the Moon. And I think it's on Disney Plus. But if not, so I recommend that as well. It's really, really good. I think it covers Apollo 13 as well, but it does all the astronauts and like from Apollo 1 and the disaster there right the way up to
that sounds good.
The end. It is really good. It's dramatized, that one, but it's pretty accurate.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll look for that. Have you ever seen First Man?
Yes.
What did you think to that?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It was okay. It was a bit Hollywood, wasn't it? But yeah.
I thought I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And the other one, if you're into like the semi-fictional, is For All Mankind. That's quite good. It starts with the moon landing and then, it's still going. But yeah, it's very good.
Who's in that one?
Oh, all sorts of people.
Because I've heard. Do you know, I'm thinking of A Man of All Seasons, which is about Tom.
No, it's not that.
It's not that one.
It's I think it's Apple TV, that one.
Okay, I know I've not got Apple, but
okay.
maybe. But I think we can get a free trial we've never used, so I'll.
I mean, there's like 6 seasons of it now, so you might struggle to do that in 7 days. But
particularly over Hoffman.
But anyway, so it's good. I won't spoil it for you because there's a pretty major history plot twist in the first episode, but it is alternate history and it's fictional. I'll leave it at that. But it's worth seeing.
Cool, thank you. Recommendation, thank you.
Anyway, well, hopefully everyone in the audience will go and watch those as well because we love space stuff.
Yes, yeah, I do quite like spacey stuff. The only one I've seen that I didn't like, I can't remember what it's called now. The one with Sandra Bullock and
Gravity.
Oh.
Yeah, ironically, the title of the film and then completely ignores all established science about gravity and how it works.
Yeah, whether she got back. Like, I was really expecting, because I think at the time it won Oscars, didn't it? The hype.
Yeah.
And I was expecting an Apollo 13 type film.
Yeah.
And I just got bored. I didn't care whether she got back.
It's just irritating, wasn't it?
It was just all about the effects, wasn't it? It was the effects, and they put way too much effort into like the artificial drama of it, and conveniently sacrificed like very basic science, like conservation of momentum, for example. There was absolutely no need for the other guy to die. Like, he didn't need to do that. It would have made no difference. No, I was really expecting great things. I just watched it and I just thought, but that was typical film where the hype overshadowed the actual film.
I mean, the visuals were amazing. The cinematography was brilliant.
Yes, absolutely.
But, the plot.
There was no substance in the story, was there?
Yeah. Anyway, yes, cool. Well, I was going to say we're out of time, but we're over time.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, it was good. It's a sign we were having fun and it was a nice conversation. Yeah, well, I think we both did today. Yeah, so Jenny, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for accepting my email to ask.
Small extra question I will ask you.
Go on then.
If anyone in the audience would like to know more about you or your work, where can they go? What's the website, etc.?
So it's 2222marketing.co.uk is the website. I'm also on LinkedIn. And I like putting my 10 pence on there about marketing and parenthood as well. So yes, I'm on there if anybody wants to find me.
Lovely. Okay, well, I'll pop those links in the show notes for everyone as well. Awesome.
Lovely.
Thanks again for being with us and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah,
enjoy half term as well.
Thanks.
Jenny, thank you so much for your time. You're very generous there, particularly during school holidays, half term, and having kids running around the house. I really enjoyed that conversation as well. We got deep into some topics that we rarely cover here at Leading with Integrity, and they are important topics to talk about. So for anyone in the audience who is maybe one of those working parents that we talked about, or perhaps you're a manager of one of those people, hopefully there's something there for both sides of that conversation to take away and perhaps improve your working situations on relationships at work. If you would like to learn more about the work that Jenny does, which we didn't really talk about as much as perhaps we should have, do visit that link. Again, it's in the show notes. Go and find out more about the company where she works and what they get up to as well. And one final quick note before you go. If leadership does feel overwhelming to you right now, if you've been promoted recently, maybe you've started a new team, or you're suddenly finding yourself responsible for actual humans, and you're thinking to yourself, who let me do this? Who signed off on this? You're not alone. Those imposter feelings are real. Everyone experiences them. And this is one of the big reasons why I created the Integrity Leaders community. It's leadership support for real people, not perfect people, because them perfect ones don't really exist. It's a myth. If you join up today, you'll get access to a crew, to resources, knowledge, live sessions, a space to grow, share your experiences, your challenges without judgment. It is a safe space. You can join for free as a Leadership Explorer today. That link is in the show notes. I feel like I've said link is in the show notes quite a lot in this episode, but it is. So, yeah. Also, don't forget, if you're interested in one of the paid tiers and getting access to more materials, early access to the podcast and more, there is also a discount code, an exclusive one for a podcast listener or viewer. Guess what? It's also in the show notes, and right now it's on the screen as well. So that will give you 50% off for forever, pretty much, for as long as you remain a member. So jump in today, because your future leadership self will thank you. That's it from me for this week. Join us again next week when we'll be talking societal expectations, gender roles at work, loneliness in leadership and in the workplace and in wider society, and much more besides, with my next guest, Tony Sillard. And until then, as always, be a leader, not a boss.